I'm almost sure you don't know much about Slovenia. And even if you heard of it, chances are you might confuse it with Slovakia, which lies further east between the Czech Republic and Ukraine. Yet it is Slovenia that stands out as the most prosperous Slavic country, with a developed economy, high living standards, and excellent education. Its GDP per capita is higher than Portugal's, and in terms of safety, it even ranks above Japan. And keep in mind, just 35 years ago, this country didn't even exist as an independent state. Here you'll find ski resorts and a warm coastline, historic architecture and stunning nature. Slovenia has no oil, no massive population, no big financial hubs. And still, people here live better than in other Slavic countries. How did it happen? This is Slavic, here we talk about Slavs, and today we're going to talk about Slovenia's success. Watch until the end and you'll find out what really sets it apart from the rest of the Slavic world. Let's dive in. Slovenia's history is deeply tied to Central Europe. Unlike many other Slavic countries, Slovenia spent centuries as part of other states. But, somewhat surprisingly, this long experience of integration into more developed Western structures became a crucial factor in its future success. In the Middle Ages, the territory of present-day Slovenia belonged to the Holy Roman Empire. For several centuries afterward, Slovenes were part of the German political and cultural sphere. Slovenian lands first came under Bavarian influence, then became a vassal of Charlemagne's Frankish Empire. Later, Slovenia fell under Habsburg control, which meant the continued influence of German traditions in governance, law, and urban economics. Trade guilds, craft workshops, and universities emerged here. Slovenes learned from their Western neighbors precision in bureaucracy, frugality, and respect for the law. By the 19th century, Slovenian lands were well integrated into the Austro-Hungarian economy. In Ljubljana, then known by its German name Laibach, crafts and education were flourishing, railways were being built, and Slovenes actively took part in the industrial revolution of the wider empire. The Ottoman Empire never reached these lands, leaving Slovenia untouched by its cultural influence. Even today, German influence can be seen everywhere. If you drive through Slovenia right now, the landscapes, the architecture, the way houses are built, everything looks very similar to Austria, Switzerland or Bavaria. There's even a saying here that Slovenes are Slavic bones covered with German flesh. This historical legacy, the ability to function as part of a complex political and economic system, became an important foundation for Slovenia's later independence. After World War I, Slovenian lands became part of the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats and Slovenes, which later turned into Yugoslavia. That marked the end of 1,000 years of German cultural influence on the Slovenes. And yet, through all this time, they managed to preserve their language. In fact, they guarded it so carefully and conservatively that today Slovene is the only Slavic language that has retained the dual form. All the others gave it up, sticking only with singular and plural. The Slovenes, however, carefully protect all the old rules of their language and refuse to simplify it. Within Yugoslavia, Slovenia became the country's economic leader, laying the foundation for its future prosperity. You could say Slovenia was the industrial locomotive of Yugoslavia. Manufacturing was well developed here, with factories producing even complex machinery. On top of that, Slovenia had the highest literacy rate of all the Yugoslav republics at the time. During World War II, Slovenia was occupied and Italian forces built a 34-kilometer barbed wire fence around Ljubljana. Today, in its place, there is a pedestrian and cycling path, where every year Slovenians walk or run in memory of those dark times. Slovenes took an active part in the partisan movement, and the anti-fascist victory in 1945 led to the creation of Socialist Yugoslavia, within which Slovenia enjoyed wide autonomy and continued to grow as an industrial and transport hub. Actually, Slovenia became Yugoslavia's gateway to Western Europe. Between the 1960s and 1980s, Slovenia also served as Yugoslavia's showcase, since living standards here were the highest among all the republics. Slovenian companies exported goods abroad, bringing in foreign currency, and as a result, the population lived noticeably better than in other parts of Yugoslavia, such as Serbia or Macedonia. Thanks to its proximity to Italy and Austria, Slovenians had greater access to Western goods and technologies than others, and they were strongly influenced by the culture of their capitalist neighbors. Before we move on, it's worth saying a few words about Slovenia's geography. The country sits at a crossroads of transport routes linking the Balkans, Central Europe, and the Mediterranean. The port of Koper is a major logistics hub, serving as a gateway for goods from Asia to Austria, Hungary, and southern Germany. On Slovenia's small territory, several climate zones meet: alpine mountains with ski resorts, continental plains, and a stretch of coastline. Thanks to this favorable climate, vineyards thrive here and winemaking is well developed. The country is also dotted with deep karst caves. This natural diversity attracts large numbers of tourists, with tourism contributing up to 12% of Slovenia's GDP. So Slovenia's location is another major advantage, both for trade and for tourism. Alright, let's get back to history. In 1975, construction began on a nuclear power plant in Slovenia. And guess what? Who do you think was building a nuclear plant in Socialist Yugoslavia? Whenever I ask people this question, everyone has given me the same answer. It must have been the Soviet Union. But no, the plant was actually built by an American company. It sounds unbelievable, but it's true. Right in the middle of the Cold War, the United States brought its nuclear technology to a socialist country. The launch of the plant in 1983 naturally had a big impact on the country's industrial development. Today, Slovenia's nuclear power plant produces about 25% of the country's electricity needs and also covers around 15% of Croatia's energy demand. Before we get to the most exciting part, I want to remind you that you can support us on Patreon or right here on YouTube. We release videos every week and your support helps us keep going. Now then, let's continue. At the end of the 1980s, Slovenia entered the most crucial period in its history. The entire socialist bloc was collapsing, the Soviet Union was falling apart, and Yugoslavia was beginning to break up as well. In 1991, Slovenia became the first Yugoslav republic to declare independence. The 10-day war with the Yugoslav army turned out to be short and relatively low in casualties. About 70 people died on both sides. At the time, no one could have imagined the devastating and bloody conflicts that awaited the rest of Yugoslavia. But Slovenia managed to avoid destruction and preserve its economic potential. Throughout the 1990s, while the other former Yugoslav republics were torn apart by brutal wars, Slovenians were carrying out economic reforms and building new trade connections as an independent state. For the first time in its long history, Slovenia finally had its own statehood. From the very start of independence, Slovenia's leadership made European integration its top priority. In 2004, Slovenia joined both the European Union and NATO. And in 2007, it became the first former socialist country to adopt the euro. These steps boosted investor confidence, opened new markets, and secured political stability. Slovenia's economic reforms were carried out gradually. There was no shock therapy or radical privatization. Market mechanisms were introduced carefully, while the state maintained control over strategic enterprises and upheld social guarantees. This helped the country avoid sharp social polarization and widespread poverty. Today, Slovenia is one of the most developed countries in Central and Eastern Europe. Its nominal GDP per capita exceeds $35,000 a year, higher than any other Slavic country. On the UN Human Development Index, Slovenia consistently ranks among the world's top 25 countries. The Slovenian model combines a market economy with a strong public sector. It features progressive taxation, a well-developed system of social benefits, family support programs, and free higher education. All of this reduces inequality and promotes social stability. Slovenia also has very low levels of corruption, not only the lowest among all Slavic nations, but according to the Corruption Perceptions Index, it even outperforms developed European countries such as Italy, Spain and Portugal. Another major advantage driving Slovenia's success is safety. According to the Global Peace Index, the country consistently ranks among the 10 safest in the world, ahead of countries like Canada, Japan, Finland and Australia. Slovenians love their country and genuinely feel lucky to have been born here. And that's not just a nice phrase. Clean air, easy access to nature within half an hour of any city, the chance to be in the mountains in the morning and at the seaside by lunchtime, all of this makes Slovenia truly unique. The history of Slovenia is the story of a small nation that managed to turn its geography and historical experience into a strategic advantage. The secret of its success lies in the combination of a disciplined approach to reforms, European integration, investment in human capital, and a strong commitment to social stability. There isn't just one single factor behind Slovenia's remarkable economic progress. Rather, it's a blend of influences. A German love of order, Italian ease and relaxation, and a Balkan fondness for celebration. And on top of that, Slovenians have a genuine love for people. Just look at the Slovenian national anthem, wishing that all friends of freedom may forever live in harmony, that the world be free of suffering, and that every neighbor become a true friend. Slovenia has become an example of how even a small country, without major geopolitical advantages, without vast oil reserves or other natural riches, can achieve impressive results. Of course, many generations of Slovenians still have much work ahead of them. But the country has time. After all, Slovenia has only been independent for 34 years. By historical standards, it's still a very young state, with a bright and fascinating future ahead. Let me know in the comments, have you ever been to Slovenia and what do you know about this small country? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Wish you all the best, keep exploring the Slavic world and see you in the next video.